So I wonder who it irritates more, British or Americans, when it comes to queue jumping. Because I know how I feel when someone tries to, queue jump when you're waiting in line for that roller coaster for 4 hours. It's basically an act of war. It's infuriating.
I have two main pet peeves in life, and it's cutting the line. So, yeah, we'll go head to head on that.
Is that both your pet peeves, cutting the line?
Now. Be nice. Welcome to Two Sides of the Pond, the podcast where Brit over here, Matthew, and Dwayne, myself, an American, talk about wherever the hell we want because, it's our show and that's what we get to do. We have weekly podcasts and we have a Patreon. So feel free to join the discussion on cues or lines. And one of my other pet peeves, by the way, Matthew, is on a side note to this one, would be calling it a queue line. Have you ever heard of people doing that, calling it a queue line?
I've never heard someone say queue line. No,
people here in America say that all the time.
Queue line? Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. I don't know why they say that, and you're just being that.
Me neither.
So I have heard a lot about queues in London being sacred. Like it is a thing. People have a lot more respect for each other in England when it comes to standing in a line. It is expected. It is accepted. And I could only assume, and this is what you're here to tell me about, if people are just more patient. Like if you're standing in line at a cafe and it's not moving as fast as you need it to or want it to or expect it to, does that infuriate people? Do people actually say anything or do they just accept it?
And run that by me again?
So you're in line for a long time and you're like, all right, I got to go. Or why isn't this line moving? Do people in line wait patiently and just keep their mouth shut? Or are they verbal about it and get annoyed?
No, I'd say usually just accept it. Yeah. It is what it is. Depends on what you're queuing for, I guess. But yeah. I mean, sometimes I've had it. This is in America. I mean, most of the queuing that I do is in America, but I've had it in theme parks. A prime example is the Avatar ride, the flight of something, whatever it is, in Animal Kingdom. Disney have a bit of an issue when it comes to their lightning lane, fast passy, whatever the hell they call them these days. People where they prioritize the hell out of that lane. They oversell massively people who can have that to the point that we're queuing. Well, one of the issues with the ride in general is it overheats, so they can only have two of the dude. There's four in total, I think. They can only have two open at once. Which is amazing. So that massively slashes the capacity in half straight away. But then you go so slow in that queue. You barely move. It is tiptoeing forwards. And we had it when I was last there. We walked through the majority of the queue because it was empty. It wasn't there at all. We thought, oh, wow, this is amazing. There's no queue for this ride. This is incredible. And we go all up into the final room. But the final room took an hour. And it shouldn't have. The final room should take 10 minutes, but it took an hour to go through. And when you get out the other end of it, you see it's because they're letting, for every one person from our queue, they let 20 through from the lightning lane. And that was why.
And it's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be, in some theme parks, it's supposed to be half the wait time. Yeah. Which in theory means you let in double the amount of people in the lightning lane versus the standard lane.
Yeah.
Right? So if you let in a family of 8 in the quicker lane, lightning lane in Disney World, you let in 8 people, you should be letting in 4 people over in the standard line. It should be an even balance in that way, a 50% split. But they don't do that.
No,
which is crazy.
they don't.
But
it's big again because there's too many. So that lane then gets far too big.
mm-hmm. And then people complain because they paid for the idea that they can wait much less.
Yeah.
So
I am curious to see what the new, I can't remember what it's called, but they brought out this thing where you can pay for the ultimate lightning lane that gives you unlimited access all throughout the day. That doodah thing. I forget what they called it.
Premier lightning lane?
Yeah, Premier, something like that, yeah.
It's like $400 a day plus your $200 ticket is crazy.
It is pricey. But I suppose if you actually, the thing is though, when you do Disney, you need to have a week to get to do a whole entire park because it just takes forever with the amount of queuing. So I suppose, it might be a case of it is $600 in total, but when you only have to go to that park the once, maybe the time saved and being able to do every ride that you want to do, maybe it does justify it.
It's what your priorities are.
Yes, because I don't like
what rides are you interested in? If you're only interested in 4 of the rides, and the rest are bonus, whatever, then maybe it is.
I don't like standing around for a long amount of time. I'm very fidgety. I can't stand still. I'm just sort of, what I mean? I just can't do it. So that's why I do prefer having a quicker system so I can get in, do what I want to do, and then get out. And then I have the rest of the day to do other things as well. So which is a lot more productive. I find spending hours in a queue, it's a lot of money to spend when like 70% of the time in the park, you're in a queue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite the magical experience that Disney promotes and claim it to be.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing is like it's magical for everyone. Yeah, it really isn't. It's far from it.
There's a new type of queue in the theme park community, which I think they got from like online. The idea of online when you go online to buy tickets for something or purchase an item online and it's a big sale, you get put into a virtual queue.
Yes, the virtual queue. I've done that a few times.
Now there are virtual queues in theme parks. As a matter of fact, I believe there was one theme park in particular that had a ride that was only virtual queue, and it was built that way in the hopes that it would continue to spread throughout all the other attractions. So,
interesting.
Yeah, because the idea behind that was instead of standing in line for the 1 hour, say that the queue would be, you get a return time to come back 1 hour from now. That frees you up to go and buy merchandise, spend money on food, do other things.
It's a very good point because from a park point of view, it is very bad for business for people to be stood around in a queue doing nothing.
Right, and getting annoyed. So you're going to have even more unhappy people for a 3-minute ride or a 3-minute experience. But if you had an entire park
that only had virtual queue, so you got to get in and book.
Yes.
Everyone's going to have to get there from the park opening because those slots will soon go. You get people rocking up at sort of like midday and there's just nothing left to book. What do they do?
Well, actually, fun fact about that is if you stayed on property for some of these theme parks, you could book it from the comfort of your hotel room because you are within that geo caching.
Yes, that is a perk of staying in a Disney resort, which I've never done. I've never stayed in a Disney resort. I'd be interested in giving it a go, but for me, it doesn't make much sense because I usually do a lot of other things around in Florida. I have a car, so it's just easier to have an Airbnb somewhere right, central.
Instead of staying in the Disney bubble, as they call it. Yeah.
Because then when I start doing things like at Universal or the SeaWorld area, or I don't know, even go down to NASA, it doesn't make sense being in an expensive Disney resort. And I also can't be bothered to do like, okay, well, I'll do a week at a Disney resort, then pack my stuff and then go elsewhere. Because it's just then you're forever packing things and moving about. I'd rather have just somewhere central, nice, quiet, private.
And Disney makes it very inconvenient for you to leave Disney property to do things. So you are stuck at their hotels if you're hungry, or their quick service or their little shops to buy foods in your resort because you have no other way to get out unless you have a car. And what's the point in having a car if you're staying at Disney for a week because, you know, you're there.
You ain't going to use it. Yeah, you won't need to use it at all because you'll have the monorail, you'll have buses. I mean, I'd hate that though. Like when you get kicked out of a park after the fireworks or whatever, right? When it's heaving with people, and I dip and dive like a ninja. Right, like an absolute ninja. I'm running out and just like whipping around people and stuff. I almost broke my ankle one point because I jumped badly off of the ledge leaving Epcot and almost just completely snapped my leg off.
I could see you leapfrogging over kids just to get out.
Drop kicking them in the face as I get out before them. Yes, 100%. Out the way. You've had your magical experience now. Get to the ground. But with the buses, I would hate to leave that park and have to then queue for a bus. It's bad enough queuing for the tram to go back to the car park, you know, to the point that usually I just walk it. Even if it's Magic Kingdom, I'll just walk. It's faster than waiting for the damn tram and you get your steps in. But imagine waiting for a bus, which is limited capacity anyway, to take you back to the hotel resort. Oh, yeah, it would be horrible.
So the downfall of the virtual queue in person, not like online, but in person, are Americans, impatient Americans, which I don't think this would be that much of an issue for people in London or England. Because here's the thing, and I've noticed this so much, it is human nature over here in the United States that if you see a group of people standing and going somewhere, that you need to follow them because they're missing out. People don't trust that this little ticket that you gave me that says to come back at 2 p.m. really means I'm going to have a spot at 2 p.m. when I come back. What do you mean I don't have to wait in line? That's what we've been conditioned to do, is to wait and be miserable people. Even when you're given an out, you don't trust the system. Just like, I know you probably don't do this very often, but I'm sure it's a service that they provide for customer service over on your side of the pond. But have you ever encountered calling customer service and, we have a longer than expected wait time? Press 1 if you want us to call you back, and you won't lose your place in line. Do you trust that? Because I do.
Yes. I trust it because I've built these systems that offer that service.
Okay.
So yes, I trust it because I know how the technology
works. Okay.
Yes. Well, for the ones that I built, I don't know about any others.
And there have been times where I haven't gotten a call back, but more times than not, I do get the call back to get put on hold again for like 5 minutes, but still. But it's better than listening to that annoying Muzak version of Muskrat Love that they play. It's just not good.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a way you could really streamline a theme park. So taking the concept of this virtual queuing stuff, wouldn't it be cool if you could pre-plan your day before you end up at the park? So you specify which days you're going to go, and you specify the time that you're going to arrive and the time that you want to leave, right? And then you specify the rides that you want to do, and you do it in priority order, right? And then when it gets all that information from everyone who wants to go there, it tries as best as it can to find you a slot for everything. Using some sort of algorithm, AI, technology, whatever it is, try and make it so it's fair for everyone to get what they want to do and stuff, and give you all your virtual slots and whatnot.
I mean, I could see that, but there are two sides to that, right? There are two ways to do this. The really, really expensive way to do it, and then the I'm trusting another human way to do that. So there is either the VIP tour where you say, I'm going to spend $10,000 to tell somebody that I want to do these rides in this amount of time and get you there and do it. Super expensive. Or you go through a travel agent who your trusting knows that tells you, well, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get there at rope drop, and then you're going to want to go all the way to the end of the park, and you're going to jump on this ride. And then after that, you're going to jump all the way over here to this ride, because there are websites out there that do that for you, but
Yeah.
you know,
But wouldn't it be cool though if it was a system like Disney offered, and it's all part of your Disney app, and when you
their
rock
Disney
up, it tells
app
you where you got to go.
sucks. Oh
Well,
my
yeah, it's
god!
a bit mental, but taking that away, wouldn't it be quite handy if you rock up on the day and you're already given all of your virtual queue times for the rides that are prioritized and the ones they could do? Maybe there is another way as well that you can sort of get some on the day. Maybe there's like a percentage of stuff you can do on the day, sort of thing. I don't know, but
right here's looking at the other side of that. You have to do things like that, like for dining reservations at Disney. Yes. If you are staying on a Disney property, you can book your restaurant reservations 90 days in advance. If not, it's 60 days in advance.
Yeah, and they could do something around loyalty as well. There could be a loyalty system which allows you to sort of pre-plan.
How do
your day.
I know I'm going to be in the mood for barbecue at this Animal Kingdom place 87 days away?
God knows.
At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to be hungry for barbecue that day.
Yeah,
87 days in advance. Like, people are always going to be like, I don't want that, or whatever. I'm not hungry.
With Disney.
Time out. This is the other thing that really pisses me off. When you put in those reservations, you give a credit card number. And if you're not there at the time, you lose $10 a person. They charge you for not showing up. So what if I couldn't make it? And because I was in line at another park, or even at the same park, stuck in line, and you miss your reservation, then you're still getting charged $10 a person. The average family is a family of 4. That's $40. That's a meal. Well, at Disney, it's a meal. That could be a meal for me and you.
Disney is a glass of water.
Like, all these things that they do, it just drives me gets under my skin. All right. Sorry.
Just liven up a little bit. But I suppose when it does come to Disney, just to give them some credit, they have got very specialist sort of dining venues, right? So I guess the logic behind it is quite a lot of people will have a desire to go to a certain place to eat. Because they have got heavily themed stuff with various.
You want to have dinner with the princesses,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's stuff like that, and there's like expensive places in there for like fancy food, whatever. So I guess that's their logic of like it's not like you're walking down a high street in a city centre just trying to find some sort of random fast food, which also they do as well. Which I guess you don't have to make dining reservations for those in advance. You can do that on the day. I suppose the ones that want the reservation is the fancier places, the more expensive food. So I suppose that mindset is you're going to want to go there because you want to go to this place to eat on the day that you're in the park. True. So I can kind of get it, but it is still strange to be
if it's your vacation, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For someone like me, that doesn't make sense.
No,
I live here.
You live there, yeah.
I live here.
Would you go to Disney for a bite to eat? Would you do that?
Yes, I've done it.
Do you?
I have done it.
So what expensive thing to do?
Well, if you have a resident pass like I do, you can go. And what I used to love doing when I first moved down here, this was back before 2020, before you had to make a reservation to get into a theme park where you could just show up. It would be like a Sunday afternoon, and I'd feel like I would go, hey, you want to go have German for dinner? And we would go to Epcot and go to Germany and have an authentic German meal.
Isn't that expensive, though? Or is it because you're a resident, it's a bit cheaper to get in? Would you make
the annual pass is much less? It's a lot less expensive.
Yeah, okay. So that's what you're doing then, is using your annual
so
pass.
I think for me, there are some blockout weeks like Christmas to New Year's, or like the week before and the week after Easter. I get blocked out and I can't go, but I have the pass that for like $350 a year, I can go between Monday through Friday, most Monday through Fridays.
Do you still have that as well? Do you still have that?
Right now I do, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When's the last time you went to Disney?
2 months ago. 2 months ago, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so this year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
right. What did you do? What part did you go to?
I went to Hollywood Studios.
Ooh.
I went there because I had family in town.
Did you queue?
I did. And my aunt was pissed because we had to, because she usually gets the disability pass because she's from New Jersey and she's very.
Is that why she's disabled?
Boisterous.
Because she's from New Jersey.
She love her to death, but when she, and a lot of people are like this, when you have a certain way of doing things and you change the rules on them, she has something with her health wise that would have given her a disability pass, which basically means that you don't have to wait in line. It's a virtual queue, basically.
It basically is.
It really
is.
is. They tell you, hey, it's a free version of a virtual queue because you go up to the ride, and if it's more than like a 20-minute wait, they'll tell you, come back, whatever the wait time is, and they'll let you right in. But they don't do that. They've changed that because so many people have taken advantage of the system.
Well, yeah, because it's quite easy, I think, to say that you have some sort of, I don't know, mental illness where you can't be in crowds of people, or you have a mental breakdown, so you then
you'd never wait in line if you took advantage of that.
Yeah.
Sinking
I
got to.
Well, I like. Here's the thing. So I knew someone who had a blue badge. So struggles.
A what?
A blue badge. Can skip we call them blue badges, but can skip queues and stuff and whatnot. But yeah, so she struggled quite a lot with a lot of things. So she can't cope with loud noises. Or crowds of people, she can get very anxious and whatnot. So she has like the sort of person that would need to be wrapped around your arm the entire time to feel safe and secure, right?
Yeah.
So she has the whatever pass thingamajiggy, and she quite often say that people see it as a perk because they go to a theme park or whatever with her and skip all the queues and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and. Yeah, I've never sort of befriended someone for that benefit, but it would be handy. It would really be handy.
Fun fact, you are another friend you have another friend for that, by the way, with that.
Oh, I see.
I
was not aware of that.
Yeah, there's not a lot. There are some things you don't know about me, by the way. Yes. Believe it or not. But yeah. I do qualify for a disability pass.
Do you?
I do. Yeah.
Interesting. Is it because you're gay?
It has something to do with my ass, but it's not that. I
don't know if I want to know.
You know what? Our Patreons will learn about this because that's what we'll talk about after.
Okay. We're going deep into the butt. Flapping those cheeks. Just sickened myself out on that one. Yeah. So will you be able to use that in Fort Park then when you come to the UK? Which by the time this comes,
I would have to check what their policies are, because now in the US they've changed it because so many people have worked the system, so to speak.
Well, yeah, I guess the point that the fast queue has like 90% of the guests, and then the normal line has got just the 10% left, which becomes the new lightning lane.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
So now you have to call a third-party service to get it. And you have to do that days before, because then you go online, fill out the forms, put in for it, and then you have to have a FaceTime type of Zoom meeting with somebody that will talk to you and then give you some kind of a code to do it. And to be honest, it's not always worth it, because
so what they do,
they
could checking to see if you are a certain level of something or other, because I suppose they're not allowing everyone now with the disability pass. Right. They're allowing certain people.
You have to go pre-registered for it.
Right.
And to get pre-registered, the theme parks have taken it off of their plate by giving it to a third party. that's not
So how would
connected
it
to
work?
Disney or Universal or
Yeah.
SeaWorld. Like,
So how would it work for you then? So would
I
you be able
would-
to like be a line skip, or would they, or is it no longer work in your favor?
So for me, what would have to happen is I would have to put in online for this in advance and wait and have a face-to-face conversation virtually, and they would make a decision.
So decide whether you're eligible for the pass for the day.
Yes, if it would benefit me. See, it's kind of funny when people say things like, I can't stand for long periods of time. That is not a reason to be able to have to skip in line, because there is a suitable workaround for that.
So you can get
exactly. Yeah. You can get a wheelchair. You don't have to stand in the line. We will give you a wheelchair for free.
Funny fact about that. So one of the vloggers that we have both met and whatnot quite often goes to Disney and stuff. And has a friend that quite often goes with him. And I don't know exactly what the situation is with this person. They claim to have like every ailment under the sun by the sounds of it. You know, there's not like a lot right with them. Although they look fine. You're from the front cover, they look fine, but they claim to have...
No judgment.
Yeah, they just claim to have, you know, anxieties and other sort of stress-induced things and whatnot. And to my surprise, in the video, in this particular video at Epcot, the main vlogger went to get a scooter chair thing from wherever it was, from the place at the park. Yeah, from rentals, that's it, to provide one. And I thought, and when he said that, I thought, what? Why they get a chair? And it was for his friend, and I spent the whole day wheeling his friend around and whatnot. And just because it would have been too difficult, I guess, to walk that amount or, you know, for that day. And so, yeah, got wheeled around, but didn't have any sort of special benefits because it would be a case of they parked the chair up at stroller area, I guess, you know, with all the babies and stuff.
Every attraction, because of ADA laws, except in Disneyland, because they were built, a lot of their queues were before they had ADA accessibility laws.
Yeah, before we cared about the disabled,
In Florida, at least, all of the queues were built with wheelchair accessibility in mind.
Yeah, because they are everywhere. You see armies of prams and stuff as well. Like, it's just mad.
Yeah.
It's chaos out of the front of every ride. Chaos.
Yeah,
you know, all part of the magic, right? All this lovely themed area, and then like 100 prams and screaming kids. It's like, woo, Disney.
Have you ever been at Magic Kingdom right after they close? Like, you're one of the last people to leave.
Oh, not been the last, no.
Okay, I have been one of the last people to leave theme parks afterwards. Mainly Magic Kingdom, I see this the most. But I was escorted out of Epcot as well. 2 hours after Epcot closed, and I don't work for Disney, but it was 2 hours after Epcot closed, and I was escorted out of the park. The amount of strollers that are just abandoned around, it looks like the apocalypse.
Just not returned to the rental area.
They couldn't.
Do you not have to return them?
Fucked. You're supposed to. Now, I kind of started this, and I'll end with this. My two biggest pet peeves ever that like will get my blood boiling, where I will come out of myself. I will black out.
Come out yourself.
People who cut in line and people who don't follow the rules. If it says don't take pictures and you know that, and you take out your camera and start taking pictures. If you are smoking in a non-smoking area, if you are like, you drop a chain at a theme park to go somewhere where you obviously weren't supposed to go, or there wouldn't be a chain there. That is my second biggest pet peeve out there, when you just don't follow the rules on purpose, just for your own personal selfish gain at the detriment of others. Yeah. There are rules for a reason. Just follow the damn rules. You know? What made you smirk right there?
This reminded me when I was in Egypt, I went to the museum in Cairo, and they had Tutankhamun there, right? And that particular part of the museum, you're not allowed to take pictures. I was quite young at the time. So I was doing this sly thing with my phone, where I'd have my phone here, right? And then just like that. But the flash was on by accident. So I went to take a picture and my phone went, whoa! So I very quickly put up my armpit. I was like, what was that? And my dad was looking around thinking, yeah, I don't know. What the? Just reminded me of that. It's like the whole image came flashing back to me. I wanted a picture. It's good to comment.
Just like me being a child and being raised in a very lower class, if not dare I say poor environment, where my family would steal cable by splitting someone's cable lines, and so we'd have cable.
Yeah,
like
I
that
would get under really works, but
that would get under my skin. Now you can't do that, but back then there were cable lines outside. A lot of the cable now is either underground, that goes right up to the house, or it's digital.
Yeah,
but the telephone wires and cable lines that connected to telephone poles would go around to each house. And my family would put a splitter on one and take the neighbor's cable.
Incredible. We're getting rid of our analog phone lines as well. They're being switched off. I think some point this year.
Are you going to VoIP?
Yeah, well, we've had it for ages, right? We've had digital systems in place for a long, long time, but the decision has now been made to actually terminate the analog systems and only have digital. So it only impacts people that's still using a really outdated analog system, which in theory won't be that many. But yeah, we do have lots of telephone lines and cables here, there, and everywhere. There's all over the place, especially like the villages in the UK.
Right.
You know, so I don't know if they're going to remove them because they won't be needed anymore. They could be power as well, to be fair. Some of them could be power lines. I don't know. We do have quite a lot of power lines above ground.
But don't jump queues, people. Like, don't be that annoying person. If you're not willing to commit to the time, don't do the crime if you're not willing to do the time.
And if you don't like queues, befriend a disabled person. But make sure they are very, very disabled. Otherwise, you can't cheat the system anymore. So they have to be like really disabled.
Befriend
what? It's a legitimate strategy.
Person. Nice.
Yeah. Befriend. They're people too.
But in New Jersey, in Jersey City, there was a big ring of people who would rent disabled kids. I'm not. They would pay families to take their kid in a wheelchair to Six Flags Great Adventure to be able to cut the lines.
That's amazing. All right, before we wrap this up, have you ever been tempted? Well, I suppose you might not have because you have got the pass, but also you have the disabled parking bays, outside shops and whatnot right at the beginning.
I have that too.
Yeah, so. Obviously, I can't use that. I guess you can use them. I can't use that. But some people sometimes are obviously tempted to park in it and then, walk out their car with a gammy leg. So people don't question the fact that, they must be disabled. Like putting on a massive act of, pure retardation. Right. Like, hello, I'm disabled. Some people are wrong.
Cancelled. Right but there.
I've never done that, though.
You've never, well, all right.
I've never used a disabled parking space.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, you do have morals and a heart.
Life's still young. That's time.
All right. Well, are people allowed to hold places in line? Or is that frowned upon?
I don't know if it's allowed, but people do it. You have one person in front of you and then a whole family's like, it's like, oh, my mum's up there. It's like, and she can come back to you then. Because all it's going to do is let like 10 crotch goblins go past you. It's like, how big is your damn family? That's not okay. Right. You just added on 10 minutes to the queue.
Right. All right. Yeah. Wrap us up, Matthew.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. Let us know if you queue jump or do any sort of spicy queue-related things, and what do you think about the insanity of the queue lengths, especially at the places like Disney in Florida. it's probably the worst that I've seen it. But yeah, get involved. And don't forget to check us out on Patreon, where we have more behind the scenes content. And we're going to head right into that conversation now to talk about your rear end and why it's disabled. Bye.
Bye.